Good afternoon. Welcome to the Friday, November 17th, 2023 public meeting of the Kingston City Land Bank's Acquisition, Disposition, and Construction Committee. We ask members of the public limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes per speaker. And with that, I will hand it over to the interim chair of this committee, Mr. Daniel Kent.
Hello, everyone. Just for this afternoon, our committee chair is out, and you're stuck with me. Mike has generously provided a nice agenda. I think most of these items are pretty fast, so you want to dive in with 63 German closing update.
Happy to. So Kyle and I have been working away diligently to effectuate a closing. It was originally scheduled to be on the 15th. That slipped, and it is now confirmed for the 22nd. Starting in the morning, it happened. It's perfect timing as documents start to expire for the pre-qual on the 24th. So we're really happy to have that take place.
Sweet. Anything you need from any of us regarding that?
No, sir. We got it.
Great. LC1, Legacy Cities 1, Phase 2, sales and marketing campaign. Are we doing sort of a debrief? What are we doing?
Yeah, maybe like we did at the last comms. Kyle, I can jump in, or would you like to run through? Do we have the same numbers?
Add any detail if you need it.
Okay. I'll just start by saying that we, between the last campaign and the end of this current campaign, between folks who updated their previous information, which sort of counts as a new registration, and new registrations, we had a total of 174 individuals registered through our website. So that is great. The packages, the registration packages have all been moved to Pathstone in Newburgh, for which they have sent back to folks a request for an application and intake forms and everything else that goes into their part of the process. That will be completed by December 8th. And then by December 22nd, they will finish their processing and deliver to us households, just case numbers of households that would be placed in the lottery, which will take place on January 22nd.
Very cool. Thank you.
Sure.
And thank you to Eileen at Pathstone and all of her hard work. And everyone else, particularly Mike and Kyle, for doing a hell of a campaign. Good job, boys. All right. LC1, Owen. Construction updates on Hurley, Franklin, and Rogers, I guess.
Sure. So we are we've done the items that were holding up the Hurley C of O have been completed. I don't have C of O in hand yet, but it should be in the works. It's just waiting on the city, basically.
Sweet.
Still some punch list things happening there. Rogers is now where most of the construction energy is going. And things are starting to accelerate there, which is good news. I'll share my screen briefly. So this is the same tracker I've been showing you. So same story on these other three houses besides Rogers, that they're essentially done. And as you know, German's about to be sold. Big thing to comment about Rogers is that we are kind of processing the I'm not going to say the last round, but the last significant round of change orders and catching up on different costs. And so we're taking that project's contingency kind of close to its limit. These aren't into contract yet, but I'm showing this projection of where the contingency is going, which is basically down to almost exhausted, 94% spent. So we're we don't have extra money in the project to do extra things, but I think it's an okay place to be with the project because for two reasons. One, we've uncovered any major things that we need to deal with. And secondly, we do have other funds and kind of other houses within this project that if something scary did come up, we could handle it by trying to allocate the money from Hurley or possibly East Union. But
Can I
yeah.
just ask real fast? I guess number one, I'm nervous about 2 months out. Seems unrealistic. So I guess I'm wondering, well, I guess I'm not really wondering. We'll be okay because it'll be like 90 days from the lottery at minimum that a closing would happen. So we really have 5 months. Because they're not even insulated, right?
They're not, but they're basically ready to. So that's going to happen shortly. And I think, it's like it still feels in this period where it's like, oh, it kind of feels the same in there. Like you go in and it looks like it's gutted, but I do think we're about to move into a period where it's like the house starts to feel very different. It's like it's insulated. The whole thing's getting insulated by a spray foam contractor. It all happens one day. Next week the drywall starts going up. Then suddenly the place is drywalled and finishes are going up. So I do think it will. I hear and appreciate your hesitancy about it being totally wrapped up on 123, but I do think that the goal of substantial completion by 123 is still like that's still what we're shooting for, and I think it'll still more or less be happen around then. So
okay. And you don't have to get into it if it's too much, but just out of curiosity, what like have the recent change orders been?
Well, for example, there's a small one about re-snaking the sewer line. We have a change order that is basically incorporating our final plan around interior doors for that household, for that house. What are some other ones? The tile materials that were on sale a year ago, but now are 5 times the price. What else?
Okay. I mean, we don't need an exhaustive. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. So there are some other things, none of which is very large, but cumulatively they add up. So, all right, that's Legacy Cities 1. Legacy Franklin 96% complete with the requisition that's under review. Franklin has a rolling punch list and should be able to get C of O quite soon. My understanding is that the HVAC contractor is wrapping up their work there. I don't have too much else to say about Franklin. It's almost done.
So incidentally, in our last meeting, we were talking about having an event on the 15th, which I see now is our current construction completion date. Do you think that'll be all right?
This is 1/15/24.
Oh,
Yes. Well, when Mike told me about the event I did warn him that, you know, the contractor's not under contractual obligation to have the heat turned on by that date, but that I expected that for that to be the case, and I still expect that to be the case. So
I mean, they're gonna have to keep some heat on just to keep the house from freezing.
yeah, no,
Um,
there's space heaters in there, but
Cool. Awesome. Great.
yeah, and increasingly energy is going towards legacy 2 houses, which happy to say anything about, but basically we're doing asbestos testing, electric service, lead testing, and other things, architectural, so engineering.
Cool. Do you feel like that covers Legacy Cities 2 planning updates on our agenda?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think just that, you know, the architectural engineering scope seems like it's on track. I know they're keeping steady on it, and then trying to catch up with these, particularly trying to catch up these houses that were kind of tossed in later on into the project, that so now they're like kind of on the same page with these other houses. So clean outs happen at Abby and Stefan, and now we're doing catching them up on testing and electric service. So probably, you know, by the end of January, those houses will be caught up with the other houses, and then maybe we can do a round of doing asbestos abatement at all the houses or something like that. But
I guess I'll just note for any of members of the public who may watch this later, I believe, but Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, we do not actually own Abby and Stefan yet. We are the presumed selectee for Stefan. That still has to go through the Common Council for a full vote, but we, you know, expect to be awarded that contract. Abby is in the midst of a judicial action that will clear title, and hopefully we will then be able to acquire that. For both of them, we have licensing agreements in place with the city of Kingston to allow us to conduct the work that Owen just described.
yes, but a good reminder that each round we go to consider, and we'll make sure to reread that licensing agreement, make sure it's up to snuff for what we're doing there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're beautiful. All right, Kyle, you want to give us any Legacy Cities 1 financing updates? I know you sent it around yesterday or the day before, but
Sure. Yeah, this kind of echoes what Owen was saying. Yeah, basically wrapped up at German, Hurley, and Union. You'll see this balance here on Hurley. That's just primarily the outstanding developer fee that we'll get on sale. This also assumes that we received the German developer fee, which we actually haven't yet. It's been reserved until we close on the sale there. So we expect to get that hopefully on the, you know, shortly after the 22nd, when we close next week. Yeah. Bulk of the project is just about finishing out Rogers at this point, and then yeah, other kind of minor balances that we have left over are just from kind of ongoing project costs, interest reserves, payments for reports and stuff that we might owe going forward. But yeah, on track and on budget.
beautiful. Thank you. Great. I guess before we move on, I just have a weird little thing to throw in. And maybe this is more a discussion with Rob, but I don't know if you guys are aware of kind of these new community solar initiatives. I got a mailer actually from the city of Kingston about it. There's a couple different companies. One is Solstice, one is Nautilus, I believe. Not sure what else, but I guess the landscape has changed quite a bit, and now you've really, I think due to a new state subsidy, you are actually guaranteed 10 to 15% reductions in your energy costs. By just opting in. It's, the solar power comes from a solar farm, there's no investment. So given that we shoulder utility costs through the course of construction and stuff, I think it's seems like kind of a no-brainer to just switch. I'd be curious to find out if switching the service to a community solar thing would carry when the new owners sign up for their utility bills, but in any event, just seems like a easy way to save a little bit of money. And of course, then your electric is coming from solar and not from coal, which is so much better than gas. So
That's a great point, Ken. Yeah, we're still figuring out, I think it's safe to say, on future projects who will be covering the utilities, and that was somewhat of a process by committee, I would say, to try to figure out who's getting the bills. Right now, Maida is getting the bills, and we had talked about converting over to the KCLB, but Maida has a credit because they overpaid on one of the houses, and so that is being exhausted. And so Owen's much more in the weeds on this, I think, than anyone should be, but it really makes sense. You're right. Going forward, we'll look into that for sure. Seems like you can just opt in. I thought I read somewhere that it was based on household income.
I talked to a guy a little while ago from Solstice, which is one of the options, and I have his email.
Okay.
I mentioned to him the land bank houses, and that sounds great. So I can forward that to you if you want to.
Yeah, please.
Nice guy.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, not to real left turn. Third Avenue project updates. Are there any?
There's a little bit. I guess we hit a bit of a snag dealing with some civil engineering on the site and waiting on reporting. I guess the latest there is that we expect some reports to come in Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Not a formal report, actually, just some kind of conceptual drawings of stormwater management scenarios. And then we hope to meet with the rest of the team on the Monday after Thanksgiving and work forward based on those scenarios. So not a ton new to report on the overall project. The other site progress we're working on, another thing we don't have firm details yet, but it is on acquiring that 143 parcel, the last kind of corner of the site. We've been working on clearing some last title issues. Might anything there. I think we're expecting to know some more by early January on that is the latest.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. It's a long game with that project, but very cool, very cool.
Hopefully it's hurry up and wait. And hopefully we'll be able to move forward once we get everything we've been waiting on. Move forward quickly.
Cool. So with the 8 minutes, I think that we still have Rebecca. Rebecca, there's City of Kingston pipeline updates on 177 Murray Street, disposition policy revisions group discussion, and our upcoming executive session. Are there any of those agenda items you would like to particularly hear about? Okay, so we'll just keep going in order. City of Kingston pipeline updates.
Okay, just keep it brief. Judicial action, which had commenced on October 19th, excuse me, is underway. So it's my understanding it's a 3-step process. You put out a notice of publication, which is taking place by the city. And I'm just seeing, so that has taken place. The publication will take place soon. So maybe you'll see something in the Freeman and local papers. And then it can be given to a judge requesting this judicial action that we're hoping for. Estimates on that, if I know enough to be dangerous, but Ulster County court system, I guess, nobody really knows what the timeline could be. So we had originally forecasted with the city in early January ability to purchase these properties. We've been told to maybe pull that back to first quarter. time being of the essence, everything being interrelated, the city is very aware of the timelines related to spending of certain funding on the Legacy Cities 2 project and the interconnectedness of all the other pieces of our pipeline related to this. So it is at the top of their mind. They have, as soon as they publish, I believe they will submit to a judge the package. So hope to have more updates soon, but we are keeping tabs on.
To what extent are the HCR and CPC aware of the slight question mark around Stefan and Abby? Like, I guess what
Sure.
I'm asking is if they would allow us to just proceed under the assumption that we will be able to acquire them and develop them as part of this project.
Yes.
And worst case, if it doesn't happen, we can revise the grant agreement or something. And
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, they signed off on a granular level, understanding that we're doing this at risk for the properties that we don't yet own. So they understand that they won't be asking for the funding back.
Cool. And even if, like, I guess, what happens if they're still in this limbo when we go to close on Legacy Cities 2? We'll cross that bridge if we have to.
We won't be able to get anywhere near a closing. The timeline that I would like for us to make the formal application for the Legacy Cities Access Program is as soon as we've gotten back general contracting bids, which are scheduled to go out, and correct me if I'm wrong, early January or something. Is that right?
No, architecturals are not scheduled to be completed till mid-January, so it would
I
be
see.
end of January or early February.
Thank you. So when those bids are returned and we know that we have a viable project that works for the funding sources, we would then apply to HCR. If for some reason a property were to have to drop out, that could upset the whole ecosystem of what works and why it works. And it really would not be great. So I'm hopeful we hear back sooner rather than later, hopefully before we finished bidding. If we're going to the general contracting, hopefully we're able to get a definitive that we're going to acquire this. I think it's worth noting that if the judicial action is not granted and the judge, for example, does not erase all claims of surplus value, the city has not yet articulated what they will do. So we have no guarantee that we will still be able to buy them if that happens. They've committed to finding a pathway forward, but that doesn't mean that they know what it is.
Got it.
Yeah, a lot of moving pieces. The consensus around some of this is evolving rapidly. And so yesterday on the New York Land Bank Association call, I received a memo that I should probably circulate from the New York Trial Lawyers Association indicating sort of what the statute of limitations, sorry, this gets very granular, but what the statute of limitations is for making these surplus claims. And so we're well beyond those statutes. And so I forwarded that to the Corporation Counsel and we had a nice discussion about it. I think we're just feeding each other information so they get more and more comfortable so that if something were to come back as having surplus value or not being granted a judicial action, that the city would be hopefully comfortable enough to proceed because the statute had expired. It was past the statute.
Mhm.
Sorry, this stuff always gets so in the weeds.
I mean,
every
the
time I talk about it.
the statute having run seems like a very hopeful element that will make this okay. So keep us updated. Sounds
I
great.
will. Thanks.
Owen, back to Owen, sorry. Tell us about 177 Murray.
Yeah, so last month I said we were about to receive this estimate on taking down Murray Street, and it's as a comparison to what it costs to clean it out. And unfortunately, a month has gone by without me having that in hand. So did just poke them about it again, but and we are getting that. They followed up with me in the meantime, asking some more questions. They made a site visit, but I don't have it yet. So I should have it shortly. That said, I'd again encourage everybody to think about what their answer is going to be when you're comparing this quote, which will be, you know, between $70,000 and $100,000 to take the house down, and comparing it to what it, you know, the option of cleaning out and investigating the current condition and asbestos abatement and all that. So,
And I'm sorry, had you previously sent around estimates for those items for clean out?
I don't know I know last time I said verbally that, you know, what we got, one that was 16,000 something, one that was 19,000 something. So that's clean out. It's a lot more than our usual clean outs due to the condition of the place and what it'll take to safely clean out the property. So I'm happy to send those around. And maybe I'll do that once I get the full house demolition too, just so you can see it all together. But yeah, so you can consider these two paths we have to go down and whether either of them are attractive for the organization. But
Okay.
so kind of no news right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have disposition policy revisions, a group discussion. Who wants to start? Well, Rebecca's leaving. We'll miss you. Have a
Bye,
wonderful
Rebecca. Take care.
day to see ya. Now it's a design committee meeting.
I
So
will say, I really appreciate Owen having this brain teaser of a conversation that we had over email about the nuances of this, just highlighting how complex this can get.
yeah. So I feel like as an outgoing member, it's not super appropriate for me to opine on future policy revisions, other than I haven't really worked on this. I thank you, Owen, for pointing out where the law and the policy may intersect and whatnot. I guess I feel like for me, just feels like a lot of it could just be cut just because there's a very long section on discount programs that we do not offer. I don't know.
Are you referring to the whole policy or like just the section that they're discussing, this one paragraph that Owen highlighted?
I have to remind myself where that
It
discussion.
was riveting back and forth. I have to say, I was impressed. It was like a philosophy class, actually. By the word "all" does one mean?
Totally.
Yeah, it was great.
That degree helps me in more ways than I would have ever known.
I felt like it's like, well, what is it that we're actually saying here? How difficult is it just to have it be in alignment with New York State land bank law?
I'm pretty sure that it is. I know I appreciate the point that Owen raised, and I certainly think that we should re-examine that language to make it more clear. But when we did put this together
Sure.
with an attorney, with our attorney, by the way, when we made the revisions to do this. But we could certainly revisit it. And the law may have been updated in nuanced ways in the past year or so. I don't think that it has, but it doesn't have. Maybe to the point that Daniel was raising, it doesn't have to say that we may do all these different things. That's not a Land Bank Act requirement.
And just to clarify, this came up because of what we're doing with this other property of trying to vote not in the general board meeting? Or is it just something that you
I
saw?
think actually just sort of incidentally happening at the same time, but I think we're fine with that in the sense that we've been empowered by the board to basically accept an offer. Contract would follow at some point after that, but I'm not really sure when. And the board will still vote, I believe, before the actual sale. So I think it's totally kosher for us to be in contract and then have a board vote stating that the board, will do that. I think.
Because Owen, you're here. Could you just say in your own words, like, why do you have an issue with that?
Sure. So, well, first, I think what Daniel was bringing up was totally different than what I was bringing
Okay.
up. What Daniel was bringing up was kind of like, there's just a lot in there. Maybe it's some clutter, basically, right? It's like, or references to stuff that just like we don't do, and so maybe it's unnecessary to have it be in a policy that is public and people might read and get the wrong idea. So I think that's where Daniel was coming from. My 2 cents was just this clarification, which, like Mike said, it's like, I think maybe our policy is in alignment and just it is a little ambiguous, and maybe a comma here or there could make it unambiguous. But basically the from my understanding, the majority of the whole board needs to make a decision, approve a selling of property, not whereas most decisions can be a majority of those present at a meeting where there's quorum. So
Right. So I'm just saying, did this come up because of what we voted to do for this disposition of this other property? No, this is just a general. Okay.
yeah, it was just tagging on to the thing of like, maybe we should relook at this
I see.
policy. So.
Yeah, so like I guess to further spell that out, like I mean, I think the entire thing should just get a once over. It's been almost 3 years since we've done, made any changes to it. What sticks out to me maybe as things the board might want to consider changing are I mean, there's a section on the disposition of personal property, which is different than like the real estate. It's like if people leave furniture in the house, what do we do with it? We aren't doing what it says we're doing with it. I mean, it says may. There's a lot of mays in here, so it sort of provides us an out. But I just think for an outside set of eyes to look at this policy, there's just a lot in there that is either just not anything we do or just sort of excess. So like there's also a section on disqualified buyers. I'm not sure that those things are accurate with the way that Pathstone and us have ended up partnering. That partnership did not exist when this was written. Applications maybe should be reviewed. Applications to purchase a property shall require a $25 non-refundable application fee. We have not done that. Disposition programs, the very first thing on there is rent to own, which we've talked a lot about over the time and basically decided is an absolutely horrible idea. And that is supported by, I think, every other land bank that we've talked to, saying, and basically every other affordable housing group saying it's not a good plan. So yeah, I guess I just feel like we really should just revisit this and go over all of it, basically, which I don't know. I'm happy to take a pass at, but and it's also possible that nobody cares about this. It has been reviewed by our attorney and all of that. So like, we don't, as far as I know, we don't have to do anything. It's just sort of a thing I think about every several months of, oh, that thing's still out there.
Sounds like it's feeling a little cluttered.
Yeah. Because I mean, the genesis of writing this policy too was essentially a very small committee, of which I'm the only remaining member that was part of that. We reviewed disposition policies from about 4 or 5 different land banks, most of them in New York State, to kind of pull bits and pieces that we liked. But we had we didn't own any property at the time. We certainly hadn't disposed of any property at the time. We hadn't rehabbed, we hadn't done anything. So like when Mike came in, essentially, we threw this over to Brian. Brian added a bunch of maze and in place of shells, and it sort of solved the short-term problem. But I just think now it's a problem with clarity around what it is we are actually doing and actually offering people. So
Can we leave it for now?
do you want me to take a pass at it and just
Could
send
be
it?
kind of satisfying for you now at the end to sort of, because before you didn't have the experience, now you do. So now you know exactly what we do and don't do, and you can just sort of, because you probably have more insight into that than anyone of us on the board, because you're so in the details of it.
Could be. I also did write the thing, so
But yeah, yeah,
changes it. Okay, I'll add
to
it.
your plate. Get a big red Sharpie. Have fun.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we move on from that discussion? So at this juncture, barring any other agenda items that you guys might want to bring up, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the potential disposal of 111 Down Street and review proposal documents, stuff that has to be confidential.
Motion to enter into executive session to discuss the disposal of 111 Downs and any other proposals that may be relevant.
Well said.
Second.
All in favor? Hello and welcome back. So at this point, after lively and active discussion, I will call for a motion to accept offer number 4 as discussed in executive session for the sale of 111 Downs.
So moved.
Seconded? Did you?
Very good, very good. All in favor of the motion just said? Motion passes unanimously. The purchaser will be contacted shortly from the agent at Hudson Modern, and we look forward to meeting you, and congratulations. I guess we did it.
Yeah.
Other new business or anything? We're a little over time.
Good.
All right. Then I will entertain a motion to, do we do that? To adjourn. I guess not.
Motion to adjourn, Daniel.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Second.
Yes. Favor of adjourning this wonderful meeting we've just had. Shabbat shalom.
All right. Have a good
See
week.
ya. Thank you.
Bye.